I think the two quick things I would say that I think are interesting is I think so many of us, even though, and sometimes the polls, there's a whole discussion to have about polling, and I'm not a pollster and don't want to be, but I do think there's a real story there about the failure of the polls to really game this out in terms of places like Sarah Gideon's Senate race and all these other questions of places where the vote really diverted. But I think looking at the polls, there was this sort of hope amongst a lot of us that there would be this massive repudiation of Trumpism, that after seeing 4 years of this, there'd be kind of this public Democratic upsurge of new voters and previous voters and Republicans who were appalled, and there'd be this massive repudiation. And I think even though we knew that we'd have to wait on this election, I think there was this sense that, well, maybe we'll just win Florida outright, and then we can just kind of relax and just sort of celebrate the fact that a majority of Americans, and the fact that the turnout was so high. And so we were seeing these day after day of this high turnout. And I think it was really giving us this sense that there was going to be the possibility of repudiation. And I think the hard reality now of the fact that we've had a massively high turnout election, which is very exciting and very important. But that this was a mass turnout election that is still showing a huge divide, and that close to half this country, give or take 4 or 5 million, have spent the last 4 years looking at this and said yes again. And I think that is the most upsetting and heartbreaking and politically unsettling thing that has happened. And I think the first time out in 2016, you could tell yourself, well, Hillary Clinton was deeply unpopular. This is kind of a protest vote. This is a lot of people just saying they want to say kind of screw you to the politics as usual. They thought they didn't really know what he was going to be like. It was kind of a celebrity who could become a lot of things as president. This time, those voters knew. And so this time around, I think that fact of the voters knowing and voting this way is really what, there's just such a giant political divide. And I think the question of white identity, I'm thinking of Sandy's book, Hard White. I think of the work I'm doing. I'm thinking of, Nadia's work. Like, I think we're all really thinking hard about this question of, what did happen to the white vote? Exit polls now are pretty crap, so we don't know. But I think that the question of did white women turn against Biden in the suburbs of Philadelphia? Like, how many did older white people in Florida actually decide that their health and their family's health mattered more than Trump, or did Trumpism sustain itself among those populations? But for me, that's the big Democratic unsettling moment, is the fact that they know what he is, and half of this country thought that was fine, and in fact, better. That is, I think we're all still sitting with that.